Thank you so much for joining us today as we present Keiser University Multidisciplinary Center's webinar, The Possible and the Impossible Through Mentoring, provided by Damien Hunte.
Thank you very much, Dr. Miller. Hello all, my name is Damien Hunte. I am the school liaison here at KUMDC, Keiser University Multidisciplinary Center. It is such a pleasure that I get an opportunity to present this webinar that's near and dear to my heart. And so let's go ahead and get started. Thank you very much for joining us today. So normally what I would normally do when I get into a crowd of young people or even some adults, I do this little bit of an example done in a small group or a large group. And I call it the role model, break the ice. And the main purpose of this whole example is to make sure that, first of all, people get to know one another. Most likely you're in a room with maybe a few people that know each other, but largely you're going to be in a room with some strangers or people that you're uncomfortable with. So I like to have some type of exercise or activity to make people feel a little bit comfortable. So it's called the role model. And so within this group, I would have a group of people look to someone to the left or right, front or back, and say something positive. And after a few moments, given an opportunity to say something nice to one another, I would come up with the question, how do you feel? And hopefully you hear adjectives saying such as, they feel great. They love to hear those great things. In the same role, after the room has died down a little bit, I'll go ahead and ask them for everyone to look to their left, right, front, back, say something negative to someone. And after a moment, after you hear the chuckles and or you see the gazes of one's eyes roaming around the room, I then ask another question, how do you feel? This proves how a simple positive reinforcement can have a positive influence on a person. But just like the positive, can you imagine what happens if you also have the negative? Now think about to have either of those examples in your life for a long period of time. How would you feel? Which one would you rather have in your life or in your ear as a constant reminder? Now, of course, this emblem is from the 60s and 70s band called The Who, but I want you to think about something. Who helped you have that aha experience that gave you insight into the rest of your life and give you a different perspective in life? Who assisted you in getting the very best out of you? Who was that one, that very one you know, if it was not for them, you would not be where you are today? Who tapped into that untapped well of potential that led you to your purpose? Ladies and gentlemen, that's the person that I'm talking about. And you very may be that person for someone else. This is the person that was most likely your mentor. The mentor and mentee typically find each other. It's not a grab a hat with a name, with a bunch of names in a hat. This is somebody that literally just says, I have a vested interest in you. For the mentor, they may see something in that mentee that feel they are able to assist that person. And for the mentee, they see something in the mentor that they can aspire to be like. So that leads us to the question, what is a mentor? Or what is mentoring? And here we have it right here. When it comes to mentoring, you're talking about a trusted advisor. You're talking about somebody that would encourage a person to think outside of where they're coming from. A lot of youth that we deal with, is particularly at-risk youth or youth with disabilities, some of them are coming from disenfranchised homes. Some of them are coming from foster care. Some of them may have a great family structure, but the friends that they hang around are not conducive for their growth. As a mentor, you can actually help them with their purpose and understand that that protege of yours or mentee has some form of nugget inside of them that you need to find, and you need to be the one that actually goes in and discovers the diamond that's wrapped in coal, which means you have to add a little pressure to them for them to be that invaluable jewel that they are. Now, a lot of people tend to laugh when they see this. They see Bob the Builder on the left-hand side, and they see the Property Brothers on the right-hand side. But I use this as an example and as a way for you guys to look at things. Are you someone that can take raw materials and build it into a lavish building that someone can maybe host a hotel in, or a great meeting in? Or are you a coach where you're the person that does a bunch of renovation? Bob the Builder, historically known for, as a cartoon or an animation for our youth, build things from raw materials. And the Property Brothers, in most cases, take a home that's already built and work with all the things that's going on already. They may put a coat of paint in, they may put some trinkets in, but for the most part, that person, excuse me, would not always necessarily be a builder. A mentor offers knowledge, expertise, and advice to those with less experience. A mentor has a vested interest for the long-term goals of that mentee, and the person has a more informal and an informal approach of building a relationship based on mutual trust and respect. And the mentee is more open to share their intimate thoughts or emotions with that person. When it comes to a coach, focus on the end result. In most cases, the coach relationship is more limited and often short-term as far as building the relationship and rapport. The coach is more about building based upon the person's potential, not necessarily their purpose, which there is a difference. A mentor is a builder, builds from the ground up. A coach is a renovator, uses infrastructure that's already existing. Both are great, but there is something about seeing something designed from thought to the actual fruition of it coming together. You know everything about it. So why mentoring? Well, when it comes to mentoring, it assures young people that there is something and someone that cares about them. It lets the mentee know that they are not alone in dealing with the day-to-day challenges. Mentees feel like they matter because they do. Isolated or small group attention, it promotes personal and well-being, it spreads the culture of positivity, provides a vehicle of care, and inspired to build character. Mentoring research confirms that quality mentoring relationships have powerful positive effects on young people in a variety of personal, academic, and professional situations. So that leads me to know, or ask the question, who can be a mentor? Well, let me go ahead and say this. Of course, you see Herman Munster there, but and this is, of course, a play on words, but mentoring is much like that of a Frankenstein. You can take a little bit of this and a little bit of that to put things together. There is no exact science to being a perfect mentor. Anyone can be a mentor, but not everyone will be a mentor. Understand that it is completely impossible, or should I say it's completely possible that a certain demographic will not suit the description of being a primary mentor, i.e., if you're a parent, you can't be mad that you can't be your kid's mentor. If you're a family member or a neighbor, you may potentially be a mentor, but just because they live in close proximity or have the same blood running through their veins does not make you a mentor. It makes you a family member, and it makes you a neighbor. It makes you a parent. You can guide them, but they may not fully invest in everything that you say because you're too close to the situation. The mentor-mentee relationship is organic. It appears to grow out of nowhere, but understand the foundation is nothing more than a five-letter word called trust. We all know that trust is not a fast-forward development. It's a slow process. And I often have this saying, you cannot cook in a microwave and expect crock pot decisions, or should I say, crock pot desires and everything that comes down. When you put something in the microwave, it's pressing a few buttons, start, and waiting for that bell to ring. But that crock pot, it takes a while. Once you put the nice ingredients in, it cultivates, it comes together, and it's the best thing you ever tasted. You cannot expect the same results from a crock pot than you can with a microwave. The M&M, or should I say the mentee-mentor relationship, is a slow cooking crock pot. It is better when the product has a chance to simmer and the greatness is displayed. Mentoring takes work, energy, and willingness to go above and beyond for a person that needs you. Can you recognize the need for mentoring? Well, mentors extend vision, enable proteges to attain greater heights, Sir Isaac Newton has said once. You know you need a mentor when it seems like the mentee always have more questions than answers. When it seems like the mentee is constantly looking for direction. When it seems like the mentee is having a difficult time adjusting to real life situations. When it seems like the mentee needs a little extra help in various departments of their lives. When it seems like the support that's in place does not seem to be effective. And you also recognize the need for mentoring when it's like the mentee just can't get out of him or her way. The types of mentoring. You have e-mentoring, which here at KUMDC is something that we do all the time, using the platform much like what we're using today in Zoom. Face-to-face mentoring, also a very key component of what we're doing here at KUMDC, is making sure that these young people understand who we are and we're there and we have a fully vested interest in their future. Individual, of course, we want that one-on-one contact. And we also have groups. And last but not least, we also have career and professional mentoring. For those young people that seemingly have all their things together, but it's just something about them that actually needs a little bit more attention to detail. We're helping out with that as well. And of course, we're dropping the I am in the word impossible, and we're making things possible. How does mentoring help with success? Well, mentoring helps with the mentee stays focused on track, identify life skills and skill sets, models of what works using real life or research experience, creates a vision and develops a game plan. It helps think about where the mentee needs to go in the long run and what can help them get there. Mentorship helps the mentors as well. It helps the mentor become a better leader, aids in polishing up his or her own goals in their life, and develops a sense of urgency to develop other inspiring people to do better. That is the possible in the impossible when it comes to mentoring. Now, according to the McCarthy mentoring stat in a Fortune 500 company or Fortune 500 magazine, we're looking at 71% of Fortune 500 companies have mentoring programs. Staggering numbers. 25% of employees who enrolled in those mentoring programs have seen salary grade change for the increase, of course. 5 times more of those mentees are promoted. 68% of millennials stay with companies more than 5 years. We're talking about retention. And 89% mentees become mentors themselves. Those are staggering numbers as to why mentoring is so important when it comes to employment. But I hear what you're saying, Damien, what if I have a young person that's not ready for work? Good, we're talking about education now. And this is according to the Youth and Mentoring Volunteer of University of Central Florida. Successful mentoring in education, we're talking about 59% of mentored youth grades have improved. 52% are less likely to drop out or skip school. Those are staggering numbers, especially here in the state of Florida. 55% more likely to transition to their post-secondary options. We're not just talking about college, we're talking about the military, we're talking about going to a trade school, vocational school. We're talking about going to go get a job. Those are also within those 55%. 78% volunteer more frequently. giving back to their community, making them model citizens of these United States. And 130% hold more leadership positions than those that do not have a mentor. These are staggering numbers coming from this research. And we're looking also, of course, our topic of discussion, especially when it comes to our students with disabilities. And this is what folks are not understanding, is that it does enhance our youth confidence. It does provide opportunity for students to increase self-advocacy. And it also definitely makes sure that these young people are more understanding of their disabilities. We know that these young people know that they have the disability. For the most part, they tend to run away from the actual label or the term of ESC or special needs or disability. So what we do as mentors, we understand what the disabilities are. We focus more so on the abilities to make sure that they understand there's nothing wrong with you. You're not born wrong. You're not a broken vessel. You are somebody that have tons of potential, tons of promise, and you're here for a purpose. And that's what mentoring is all about. We're talking about making sure that we have vested timing with our young people. So quality over quantity is not about how much time. It's about the time that you have with that young person when you deal with them one-on-one, two-on-one, small group, individual, face-to-face, ED or virtual mentoring. It is important that these young people feel that somebody is in their corner, and to develop a sense of self-awareness and self-determination. I cannot express to you how mentoring helps with a young person advocating for themselves, because now they have a badge of honor to say that I am somebody too. Somebody cares enough about me to invest their time and their efforts into me. So clearly I can do the same for myself. Brings me to this awesome movie. Let's take a look at the multiple award-winning film, The Help. In the movie, Viola Davis plays an African-American maid by the name of Abilene Clark in the South, Jackson, Mississippi, to be exact, during segregation times. So most of us are privy to the hardships and the difficulties during that time. There were many messages in this movie that will send you on an emotional roller coaster. But there's one message that at the time I just didn't see. But now looking back at it, I saw what true mentorship was. Abilene Clark, the young woman on the left, Viola Davis, cleaned the house and had dinner ready for this very affluent family to eat every single day. Her responsibility that she took the most pride was helping a little girl, May Mobley, the young lady that she's holding right now, within the affluent family. The mother, Mrs. Mobley, was too busy being the talk of the town and the life of every seclusive party that would only allow the richest families around town and sometimes out of town to partake in these well-to-do soirees. To be a mother to her child was not in her cards. This is where Abilene, Viola Davis, would pick up the slack. The part that spoke to me the most is that anytime that baby girl would cry, because that's what Viola Davis would call her, I'm sorry, Abilene Clark would call her, baby girl would cry because her mom did not have the time to be with her own little baby girl, which to me was sad. And it saddened Abilene Clark. So Abilene would say to this little girl, little May Mobley, you is kind, you is smart, you is important. Now I know that's not proper grammar, but let's take a look at the effect that these simple but powerful words would have on a young, impressionable little girl. She would hear these words every time the maid would see her. Mentorship is much like The Help. You need reinforcement of positivity. You need encouragement. You need love. You need appreciation. You need to feel like you are a part of something bigger than yourself. So, in conclusion, This is a little saying that I have. If you have fallen on your way to the top, good, you're on your way. But if you have learned from watching others fall on your way to the top, congratulations, you are there. And basically what I am saying is this. We all understand that there are certain experiences that we have, and some of them we actually have to go through. But at the same time, you don't have to make every experience your own. You can actually learn from other people. And some of the most wealthiest and what we may call successful people, as far as Bill Gates and Sir Richard Branson and Steve Jobs and all these other great minds, all had mentors. And one of the things that I remember Mr. Jim Moran, before he passed away, and now this is a multi-billionaire that helped Toyota to be put on the map, as well as Lexus. And he said, and I quote, "I would never have made it if I did not have smarter people ahead of me." And so as mentors, we all have made mistakes. Some of us are paying for them right now. What about helping a young person to stop them from experiencing the hurt, the harm that we have caused ourselves, by teaching them the right way that we had to learn by bumping up against the wall as often as we have? And this is a saying that I like to use often. Life is a Ford. It's an excursion, it's an explorer, it's an escape, it's an expedition. It takes focus and tempo. Life is not a 100-meter dash. It's going to take you on a bunch of bumps and bruises. It's going to take you on a bunch of hills and valleys. It's going to take you on a long ride. But sometimes you have to pace yourself. That's our tempo. And it takes tons of focus. And sometimes our young people aren't able to focus, especially with what's going on in today's society. They have everything at their disposal. They have all the information they need within their thumbs, or their Twitter fingers, or their Instagram fingers. So it's not as if they have to go research and have the thick encyclopedia, the Britannica encyclopedia set that we used to lug around when some of us were younger. But they're having hard times in focusing. As a mentor, you are able to help that young person get through the Ford of life, the excursion, the explorer, the escape, the expedition, and help them to focus and let them realize it's not always a 100-yard dash. Sometimes it's a marathon. There lies our tempo.